Hello guys, my name is Soru and today I want to talk about my farm and the different functions that it has and how to do it. I did a little testing farm back over there to show how the principle of this farm works, and we'll do step by step tutorials on how I did the different functions of this big farm. But first of all, I want to talk about what are the different functions of this machine. So let's get started. Let's start with this button and these four switches over here. This is, you could say, the master panel. So the red button is to start it manually. If you do so, this is going to happen. So the sled is moving forward, just pushed by these set of pistons. And back there, there is a row of teeth pushed up, which is censored by these sets of sensors. Oh, let's switch. This is the master. These are master switches for planting and watering. Everything is color coded up, so yellow is planting, blue is watering. Yellow master switch. Every yellow logic gate on the row shows that the row is ready to plant. Let's do a water run. If I want to shut I could shut a row off by these switches. That's what this is all about. So you can shut off water and planting individually by these two master switches, or you can shut it off for each row individually with these switches, like you see. What do we do? What do we have else? The automation part. I wanted to have a full auto farm if I want to. That's what the 120 sensors are all about. And this part of logic on each row, plus this logic gate over here, and plus these on the back row, but I'll come to them later. This is master switch for automation on and off. If this is not on, the machine won't start automatically. These switches over here on each row are to bridge the automation for this particular row. So if I don't want to plant the whole field, the machine is still able to harvest automatically, because I can bridge the automation of the rows individually. But the last row got two of these, but it's it's the same thing. It's only just to have just to be able to plant only half a row on this slot, on this row, and still be able to do harvesting automatically, because that just bridges the last 5 sensors. That bridges the whole row. Good. So far so good. So the one button is left, and that is white button. White button is pretty simple. White button activates that piston. This is the reset button, the reset sensor of this machine. If this reset sensor is pushed out by this piston, the machine is going to do only half a row. So I'm able to plant half a row of the last row down here, to do steps of 5 instead of steps of 10. Yeah. Good. Let's get into how I did this and how it works. Alright, here we are at a small testing farm I built just to show how the big one is working. This is just the simplest state I ever did it. Just to show how the principle of the machine works without any functions. If I pull out the connection tool, you're going to see there's not even very much connections. The heart of the whole machine is are these 3 logic gates, and this sensor and this button. What this is essentially, it is a switch built with logic gates. This is an OR gate, a NOR gate, another NOR gate, and an AND gate. You need to have an AND gate to do a circle like this. And I used to do the connections from the AND gate. It would not do any difference if you pick the connections out of here, but yeah. So how does it work? If you press this button, this is going to send a signal to this logic gate, which is going to alternate the position of these 2. Why it resetted to this position is because it did a run, and this is fairly fast. So the reset sensor picks up the sled if it's back there. So if it's at the end, it sends a signal back to this NOR gate, which repeats the setting. So it sends the signal back to here. So it's back to its default position. So if you press the button again, same will happen again. The pumps are all connected to these sensors. These sensors pick up the teeth row I was mentioning before. So every teeth is for every row of plants. Oops. You see it. I normally I do a wall over here, so that doesn't happen. Yeah. Then let's get to the first few functions. First of all, to have shut-off switches for watering and planting, you need to have one thing first, and that is one AND gate for each pump, each planting pump and each water pump. For the sake of showing, I'm going to place them here. Here. Now, these have to be AND gates, because AND gates are only active if all of the link triggers are active. So let's say you do. We delete these connections. The harvesting pump can be doesn't matter if it has a switch or not, because if there's nothing to harvest, it won't do anything. So we hook up the logic gates to each of the pumps. After that, we hook up the sensors to all of the logic gates. And we do a switch. Okay, let's do let's do it here. It goes to this one, these two. To another one, this goes to this two. And voila, you'll have 2 master switches. Both won't trigger, only if the right button is placed, they won't work. They will work, because all of the link triggers have to be active. If the sensor is the last trigger that's going to trigger it, all of the other have to be active before that. So if a switch is hooked into that is not active, the machine won't work, or won't do anything. So that was the first part. After we have a little more lighting, I decided to talk about how I did set up the water pump. That is pumping the water out of this lake. It's just built out from the machine, from the farm itself, because it doesn't need to have a direct connection, a built connection to the farm. And connections are, I did hook up the water pump to this NOR gate, because the pump pumps when the farm is not working, because the water that's inside the container is more than enough to do the farm once or twice. the water pump needs to be at this NOR gate, because only then it'll fill the container fully. Alright, let's finish planting and watering switches before we get into automation. Alright, to do the final version I was going to do, or I did on my big farm. These are the two displays on each row with master buttons and buttons for each row. We still have our AND gates up here because they are essential. But what we added are some NOR gates again. But how you connect them to the switches, that is essential. So take these switches and hook them up in both. Then take the master keys, and I color coded them, and hook them up only into water or planting. These are gonna shut them off completely. Unless these are going to shut only one part from the whole machine. So if you hook up these again to this one, which is this, and this one to this one, because this is connected to this pump, and so this one to that, and that to this one. Now it's a bit messy, but it's working like in my big farm. You can put out planting, you can put out watering. It's still running. Yeah. Good. Okay, let's talk about automation. I did the automating part with a sensor on each crop. It's not the most efficient way, I know that, but it's the most efficient way to for the farm. It needs a lot of materials, but the farm will work a lot better. I wanted to make sure it really starts to harvest if any of the plants are ready. So that's why I choose to do a sensor for each plant. Like I said, the sensors need to be at the height of 4 and need to be set to a range of 2. If you just want to do an auto farm, you could just do the logic switch up setup plus the sensor button without the button, plus these sensors to trigger harvesting and replanting. I did two auto farms myself on this principle. Yeah, but how to hook it up? Surprise, surprise, you need another logic gate. And if we would just hook it up to do an auto farm, we'd take an AND gate, just hook every sensor into this AND gate and hook that AND gate into here. That would be enough to trigger it automatically if it's ready to go. But I wanted to be able to do, let's say, only half the farm, or yeah, smaller steps. So I did a little more complicated. I did an AND gate for every row, plus an OR gate for every row. The sensors are going to be hooked up into the AND gate. Oops. After that, into an OR gate. Switch on top. And hook the switch into the OR gate. So now you have a switch to bridge your AND gate. Here's still here's a signal is coming, but if your plants would be ready, both will be lit up, and the signal would still go through. Yeah. So after that, I did another AND gate to hook all of them, all of the OR gates into this AND gate. And hook up this AND gate into this one again to trigger the machine, and to have a auto on off button. Just place a button, just place a switch and hook it up into the AND gate. That's pretty much all. Oh, I did another thing, and I prepared it already. The last button on my big machine was the white button. The white button just triggers this piston. This piston, the reset sensor is just placed on a piston. You just have to find the right length, range for your farm to more or less plants or crops. So if I press this button, it's going to push the reset sensor 3 blocks out to stop it one earlier. Which causes the planting row to only hit this tooth instead of both. Yeah. Okay. All right. That's enough for my tutorial. Baby walk backpack. Woo! Have fun with my auto farm. And if there are any questions, please write down in the comments. I'm happy to help.